Nanjan Swami sir said, I will be engaging today two sessions, where the first session I would be just discussing upon the one of the prominent, very significant paradigm of learning, which is being floated by UGC and now in the new education policy, right? So entire new education policy, in fact, has been drafted keeping in mind continuous assessment based quality education. So instead of assessing students at one time, after semester end or after annual 1 year, why can't we think of evaluating their performances and watching their progresses as if we are watching our kids at home, every day, every fortnight, every month, and just before a vacation and immediately after vacation, we just watch our kids, at home. Of course, we are watching two kids at home. We all being teachers are expected to watch and monitor the progress of every individual student in our respective institutions for their progress and their continuity in learning, right? So of course, gone are the days when we were in our education, especially myself being old, so I had annual examination, annual scheme. There was nothing like continuous. There was nothing like IA marks. I used to attend examination on all papers for 100 marks fully. Only 3 hours used to matter a lot in my life, right? Was there any problem during the 3 hours of examination, right? So then we used to lose a year for that, right? A kind of penalty, a penalize. So is it really required? So can we think of, because the teachers are always interacting with the students. Can teacher be given a kind of freedom to evaluate his own children every day, right? Starting from the day number 1 of your semester till end of the last day of the semester. If you can watch them and record their progress and their interest, and you just create an environment where there is a good ambience of learning, and students will have their own choice in education. So towards that target, so NEP, especially new education policy, earlier to that UGC in 2010 itself has made it mandatory to all higher educations, in case if educational institution want to go for a kind of grants, projects grants or any infrastructure grant, then UGC made it a mandatory that every university, every higher education institution has to switch over to a new paradigm of learning, right? A kind of new pattern in learning, which is more a student centric rather than a teacher oriented or a teacher centric. So we were in education where the teacher used to dominate, right? But we today want the consumer, right? Obviously, the market is because of consumers, and education system has become to that extent that the students, stakeholders are really important for us. What they want, let them take their own education, and we are supposed to facilitate them, right? So instead of fixing up a couple of courses as a mandatory course in a particular semester, and who cares if student loves it or not, though that paper, that course is not at all required in future, but we are making it a compulsory that one has to undergo through that course, right? So in computer science, we introduce something like probability, but most of the times probability is not liked by a computer scientist, because not all branches of computer science really require probability. That's an example, right? So in mathematics, somebody wants to be good at only analytical geometry, right? Analytical geometry. So, but there could be another branch where he doesn't like to study at all. But that's not really make it a mathematics. So there is some foundational courses which really make it mathematics. Let him take, and then rest of the things should be kind of electives, right? There should be many handful of electives so that students will have their choices. So keeping this in mind, the NEP, especially today and way back a decade here, the UGC made it mandatory for all universities to switch over, right? So that's such a type of new pattern of learning, right? Though I call it as new, but in my lecture you'll come to know that it is not new. It is a cycle. We are going back our earlier education where the university called Nalanda University used to offer way back, centuries a year ago. The Nalanda, in the great Indian university called Nalanda, used to have this type of educational, environmental, kind of facilities for students. So student centric. In fact, during that days, foreign students used to come and stay here and study. So that was the spirit of Nalanda University. I think all of you are well familiar and heard of it, right? So that's what is called CBCS. So choice-based credit system, right? What is credit? Where is the choice? How are the choice, right? Choice doesn't mean that he can take anything of his own interest. It's a restricted choice because I'll let you know what is that. That's what. So let me share the screen to present my slides to you people. Is that visible?
Yes, sir. It's visual, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm talking about choice-based credit pattern for learning. I go in general, explaining you what is this all about. But whatever we are now into this CBCS being implemented for undergraduate at University of Mysore, or it could be something which is implemented in University of Karnataka, or could be in Bihar, right? Probably throughout the nation, when I have seen, except in IITs and IIMs, the CBCS, what we generally call now, being followed up today, are not full-fledged CBCS. But my interest in this presentation is to explain you the full-fledged CBCS, right? How is that? What are the degrees of freedom that a student can enjoy learning? And what are the responsibility of teachers while offering courses, and how one has to be accountable, right, for his course. While myself being a teacher offer a course for a set of students, then how I'm supposed to be accountable for my course, evaluating students, not only conducting. Basically, any learning environment has two major components. One is offering classes, right, conducting classes. What should be the modality of conducting classes, how the classes are supposed to be conducted, right? Should I go with broadcasting, or should I go with working all along with the students, right? Should I all along practice with the students, sit with the students? This is how the conduction of classes. And another component of any education learning paradigm is how to evaluate students, evaluation of students. So what is a degree of freedom that teachers should exercise while evaluating, right? So on the other end, if I look at from the point of view of students, the students get admitted to the institution. Then soon after getting admitted to the institution, what are the freedom that the students can enjoy, right? What are the flexibilities being provided in this CBCS pattern of education, especially for students to exercise, right? How can how can they think of molding their education, molding themselves to become a good, good learner? What are the opportunities for a fast learner? What are the opportunities, for a slow learner? These are all the things which are integrated, all put together. So this is what is I'm talking about, called general aspects of credit-based learning. That's number two. We were in earlier education system, even from my days, and you are in just before 5 years back, you were in some, pattern of education. And now we are into totally appears to be a new pattern of education. But I'm sure that The CBCS pattern of learning encompasses all. I mean, it's kind of a general umbrella, is a kind of generalization of what is called learning. And inside that, whatever the pattern that I used to follow when I was a student, what are the patterns that you had undergone through, those can be the instances of this general pattern of education. I mean, if you want, you can restrict the CBCS to only the pattern of your interest. So this is something which covers all upon, right? You can restrict some flexibility, you can open up certain flexibility, freedom, and so on. That's what you would notice by the end of my lecture. So if I just narrate, if I just recollect the days when, especially myself, gone into this choice-based credit pattern of learning, then I would recollect those days when Professor Hegde was the Vice Chancellor of University of Mysore in 2000 itself. I mean, roughly about 21 years back, myself and my mentor, Professor Nagbhushan, who is now the Director of Triple IT, Indian Institute of Information Technology, Allahabad. So those we both have thought of introducing this culture of education which was existing in IASC, because we visited IASC, we visited IIT Chennai, visited IIT Mumbai, and more frequently we used to go to Math Science, Taramani, Chennai, and we observed there the students enjoy learning, doing their assignments, staying in the department even late night, working hard, taking up, and then the teacher used to come in the evening. We really felt happy seeing those got involved in continuous learning, and the teacher used to ask them some sudden what you call it as quiz, conducting quiz and marking, some grading them with some marks like out of 5 and so on. Then felt off. We just thought of why can't we think of introducing similar pattern of learning for our Department of Studies in Computer Science of University of Mysore, where we were running, MSc in Computer Science, MCA Computer Applications, and we were about to start MTech in Computer Science and Technology and MTech in Computer Cognition Technology. So then we just thought of, instead of starting MTech programs, 2 different, streams of MTech, we were about to start launching that new programs. Instead of launching those new programs under the old pattern of learning, why can't we think of directly launching them into a CBCS pattern of education? Then in 2000, we started MTech in Computer Science and Technology under this choice-based credit pattern. Right? That was our first attempt. And then later on in the subsequent years, having experienced in this pattern of education, we just have restructured our MSc in Computer Science in 2004 to this CBCS. And later on in 2008, we got our MCA program restructured into the CBCS pattern of learning. So gradually we got our system evolved into a complete CBCS. I mean, in our department, in the Department of Studies in Computer Science, so we have no board of examiners. No teacher is expected to set questions, or we don't approach external examiners to set question paper and communicate them to some board of examiners, where members of the board, will sit and scrutinize the question paper set by the 3 different examiners, and then one of the question paper will be chosen by the evaluation registrar, and that will be given for the examination. No, nothing doing. Right. And number 2, we are with more, weightage for continuous learning and less weightage for the semester end examination. We have only 40% weightage for semester end examination, just to give away, just to, support students to give away the fairness of examination. They should not scare off appearing for examination soon after, generally I used to scare off examination, especially, and my parents used to say, Guru, don't play a game, because you will have your examination on Monday from 10 to 1, because that was for 100 marks. If I play on Saturday, in case if I get my hand fractured, then probably I would not be in a position to attend my examination. So my papa used to say that, don't go for playing, you just take rest at home, right? Because anything may happen. If something goes wrong in your life, perhaps you will be missing your examination. That takes away 1 year. Look at the scareness of, that's what we used to fear on the examination. Now, to support students to not to have any fear of examination, we just had given less weightage for the semester end examination, only 40%. And 60% of marks gets evaluated during the semester exam, during the period of semester. 16 weeks I monitor, I just give a couple of sets of assignments and ask them to submit and conduct, at regular interval of time, some quizzes, some competitions, some programming exercise, and then I also conduct some tests and then accumulate all these. And the students will be evaluated by the end of the semester for 60% of marks. So then students will get to know by the last day of semester how much I got out of 60. If somebody has got, let's say, 55 out of 60, even if he doesn't report to the last day, the semester end examination, then he will have still 55 out of 100. He can be placed in second class, right? So this is how one can think of improving some style of evaluation, and then it opens up several other opportunities for students. And such a general aspects, the general philosophy of choice-based credit pattern of learning, that I would be explaining for the next roughly about 50 minutes up to 60 minutes. So this is all about. So if I continue recollecting that old days when we started our CBCS in University of Mysore, the department was really doing fine as far as the CBCS is concerned, and we got full-fledged CBCS introduced over there for all the three programs of our department. And then in 2010, UGC has issued a notification stating that there is a new paradigm of science learning that is called CBCS, and all higher educational institutions are going to adopt this pattern. Then we felt really happy because we thought of it 10 years earlier to that. Then Professor Talwar, the Vice Chancellor of University of Mysore, called both of us, Professor Nagbhushan and myself, and had given us a responsibility to talk to the colleagues in the campus and convince them and get this CBCS regulations drafted for the entire University of Mysore. But not in a full-fledged step by stage by stage, right? And then we just have introduced one version of CBCS in 2011, and then got restructured in 2015, again further refined into the structure in 2018, and we just have adopted that for UG in the last 2 years back. Right? So this is how it has been evolved, right? So University Grants Commission has wanted all higher education institutions to be world-class standard. And another thing that every Indian students who used to go to abroad for continue their education, they used to find it very difficult to transform their learning abilities over there, which was in mascots of Indian universities, right? So we wanted to have some kind of standardization, normalization. So that's what the grading system is adopted. And if somebody has put in some effort to pass through some examination, how much effort he has put in, and if that effort could be quantified, in terms of credits, then the other universities people can understand how much effort that student has put in to digest this paper, and so that he can just get it transformed when he enroll for further higher education outside India. So that is another benefit of this CBCS pattern of education. So it is all in all to reform a process called learning, right? To inculcate a better environment for learning for students, right? So University of Mysore was a model university, and it was an institution of excellence, especially in 2010. The University Grants Commission has given huge grants for University of Mysore, having got this University of Mysore identified as an institution of excellence. And being an institution of excellence, there was no other way, other than adopting this CBCS pattern of education. Then the Professor Talwar, was Chancellor, insisted us to go with this, just to keep, what is called excellence both in academy and research. Ultimate target is to accomplish excellence in both academia and research. That doesn't mean that earlier to the CBCS there was no excellence in academia and research. There were great Indian, scientists, mathematicians, social scientists who contributed a lot across globe. They studied, they did their education in Mysore, based on annual scheme, went out of India, got their, their rewards, and they become popular for their contributions. So I'm not talking about all that, but still I know to go along with all universities across globe. We wanted to have some normalization, some standardization, right? That's what is called this new education policy, NEP, right? So this is all about choice-based credit system. Choice-based, choice. Quite interesting terminology. So even while setting up question paper, you give choice to the students. While setting up a question paper, you say that answer any 5 out of the following 8, right? So students will have roughly about 60% choice. Answer any 5 out of the following 8. That's what is called choice. If you can give choice within the course, why can't you think of giving choice for the course itself? That's the next level choice. Instead of insisting students to attend through the course and then out of 10 chapters, setting up 10 questions and then asking students to answer any 5. Instead of giving choice at chapter level, why can't you give a choice at course level, paper level itself? Right? That's number 1. And number 2, in our life, even we have choice while buying, we go for choice, while buying my dress, shirt, trouser, right? While buying my watch, I will have choice. Even to buy a slipper, if I don't like a slipper being, shown in any slipper shop, perhaps I go to a neighboring shop, right? Or amongst that, I'll have multiple choice to choose, just to use it for a week or for a month or for a year and then throwing it out. But look at this education. Education is something which has got to be integrated all along with our life. That's what is called education. Education is something which gets inculcated into me so that it gets integrated for a lifelong. Even for the clothes and the shoes, we have some choice, but that doesn't get integrated. It will be with me only for a temporary period and then we'll just throw it out. Even for that we have choice, but for the permanent thing which I have got to inculcate in my mind, inculcate into my body so that it gets integrated all along till last day of my life, why can't I have a choice? That's the question raised by the student, for example. Right? So that's what is called choice-based credit system. And then the interesting thing which I really liked, personally telling you, being a scientist, which I really liked it. Earlier in my education system, I used to have 4 theory courses and 2 practical courses. So this practical were nowhere related to theory sometimes. The syllabus was so set up in such a that, the theory teacher used to teach something and practical class we used to handle something different. There was no logical relationship between them. Instead of that, if I teach in the lecture of physics, theory of Newton's, right? Or pendulum, the principle of pendulum. Why can't I take the students suddenly into the laboratory or in the afternoon into the laboratory, explaining them with a practicality that this is how the pendulum moves, right? And this is how you have to calculate. And based on this, you can calculate the gravitational force of the earth, right? And if I teach my student in biology or a botany, look at this is what is called Mysore jasmine. Why can't I take them into suddenly in the afternoon or in the next week to some garden where I can see, or the students can be given a physical touch to this Mysore jasmine, and they can smell and enjoy. This is what is called Mysore jasmine. I mean, I want that practicing, that field work, that what you call it as practicality, all along integrated with the theory, right? All along integrated with the theory, right? So that's what. Suppose in history, in the University of Mysore, if there is a course on history of Mysore Maharaja, right? Mysore University can think of a specialized course in history program that, Wadeyar's family as king of Mysore, Mysore. Then instead of reading through the books written by many eminent scholars, if the students can be taken into the palace building and the field of palace and showing them, physically, and allowing them to interact with some people working in palace and collecting the data. That becomes another part of the learning, right? So that learning is not something independent. The teacher has to broadcast the things in the classroom for about 2 hours. And soon after that, the students have to go and take it up in a practicality all along. I mean, even in the history course, I see a practical. If this practice, I mean, as I mentioned in my last lecture, that basically we talk about 2 types of research. One is the fundamental research, where we talk about, creating new knowledge. That knowledge will be delivered to the students, because the fundamental research creates a knowledge, and the good teacher who is well versed with that knowledge will be delivering that goods to the student. Only knowledge gets circulated. But on the other hand, look at the applied research. The applied research is to make the things practically possible. If that can also be explained all along with the, while communicating the knowledge to the student, then I say that may be the best environment for students to learn. Then I expect every paper, every course I mean to be an integrated component, to be together, consisting of 2 things: a theory component and a practical component. Instead of having exclusively 2 papers, exclusively 3 papers as practical papers, and nowhere related to the theory. Why can't you think of 4 plus 2? Split up this 2 into 2 practical into 4 pieces. This practical will be split into, this practical will be split into. Take one piece, attach with the one theory, take another piece, attach with the second theory, and so on. And then the respective teachers will plan their lecturing in an effective way, so that they will also demonstrate in practicality. And while the students are undergoing through that, why can't we monitor them? Why don't you assess them, in parallel? If you can assess for 10 marks, right? For 10 marks or for 5 marks by the end of every week, by the end of every, week, Saturday, or by evening of Saturday, the students should be given some marks out of 5, some marks out of 5. Then there are about 10 weeks, then the students will be evaluated for 50 marks, right? If it is 16, students will be evaluated totally for 90 marks. So that's what is called continuous evaluation. So you are the instructor who is, considered to be an expert in delivering goods on some subject of your interest, and see that you take care of both practicality and the theory, without adopting the knowledge that the students learn in the environment, learn in the class. Otherwise, what they do, just simply sit through the marathon lectures delivered by you and listen to your lecture, and then walk out of the classroom and then mug up things and then come and reproduce in the answers book, so that they get a good score. But see that they also use, see that they also pick up the consent skill, the respective skill, so that really confident, to face their, that I really liked, especially here, called integrating theory with practice. And besides, there are many advantages. As I said, it is student-centric education. Students-centric, they can plan. So if I narrate on the other way around, recollecting my own, the situation which I faced, the difficulties which I really did not like the moment I was successful in 10 plus 2 education. Actually, please bear me that, during my school education, I was fascinated towards mathematics. Even today, I love mathematics a lot than loving computer science. Just because my father happened to be the teacher of mathematics, was known for teaching mathematics in my taluk, headquarters, and inspired me like anything. And then I wanted to pursue my MSc in mathematics and doctorate in mathematics. That's number one. And just because, actually, I did not like chemistry, I was not so liking, biology, but just because my interest in mathematics, I just moved to 10 plus 1 education in science. Then there was no other combination other than PCMB, a standard combination: physics, chemistry, mathematics, and biology. Somehow I was successful in, PCMB, though B was not my interest and C was not my interest. But I liked physics and liked mathematics, because mathematics was my fascination, and physics involved great mathematics. I liked both. But I was with less liking chemistry, not poor, but less liking chemistry and biology. Then when I wanted to join BSc in, BSc in basic science, I did not want to go to engineering or medical. Medical ruled out. Engineering I did not like because I wanted to pursue my MSc in mathematics. Then I was supposed to join BSc. In BSc, when I looked at the possible combinations, I wanted only these two, physics and mathematics. All along with this, because I was forced to take third combination, third optional, I was looking for language. I was looking for language. I was about to take English language as an optional along with physics and mathematics, or else I wanted Kannada as an optional course for my BSc. But the regulations did not permit me. And the people used to say that the language like Kannada, English, they were the assets of all students, not the assets of science graduates. Science graduates were totally blocked not to study language as an optional course. I wanted to take up English all along with my physics and mathematics. Had I taken up the English, course, English as an optional subject at BSc level, perhaps today really required, what is really required is English, linguistic quality while drafting good papers, publishing good papers, in reputed journals at international level. In addition to my knowledge of mathematics and computer science, what I am really finding it very difficult is linguistic quality. Right? Had I chosen that English all along with physics and mathematics, or physics, mathematics, or mathematics, computer science, and language, that was look at. But look at there, I joined UGC college, but in the UGC college, there was a very popular department called English department. The professors of English were known for their contributions, but they're known for their, book writing, storybook writing, writing poems, etc. They were really great English professors. Believe it or not, I used to go to English classes additionally. Kannada, there was a professor called Chandraya. I still remember his lecture, right? They were really great. But though there was a department of Kannada, though there was a department of English, look at, I should have been given a chance to take one physics, one mathematics, and Kannada, right? Or English. But I was blocked. Then inevitably, I was forced to choose chemistry. And then I opted PCM, physics, chemistry, mathematics. And luckily, after 3 months, university had given a notification stating that from this year onwards, University of Mysore is introducing a new course called computer science at undergraduate level. Those who would like to change their combination from any optional subject to computer science are allowed to submit their application by the end of September. I was the first man to submit my application that I don't want chemistry, I want computer science, right? Then luckily that I got shifted to physics, mathematics, computer science combination. I was in the first batch of computer science education for computer science BSc of University of Mysore. I suddenly shifted to that. I wanted, though the language is one of the optionals along with 2 more majors. Probably I must have preferred mathematics, computer science, and the language called English. Today, if University of Mysore can give such a combination, probably I recommend such combinations for most of my students to go with, right? So that's what I really missed it. I don't want my son and daughters to miss today. I want them to choose whatever they want. That doesn't mean that, every college, every institution has to have all departments. No. If your college has got 10 departments, let your student choose any 3 of these: economics, statistics, and mathematics. Why not? Economics, and then mathematics and physics. Why not? Economics, computer science, and statistics. Another best combination. Economics, computer science, statistics. Economics, mathematics, and computer science. The best combination. There is a demand for such people who possess. Especially in computer science and software industries, we are looking for people who are well versed with mathematics and computer science programming and with a background of economics. That's really a catchy combination. But unfortunately, most of our universities have made it like these are all the courses come under arts. These are all the courses come under science. We don't even understand that in every course there is an arts and science. There is an arts and science and engineering and technology. You name it. Even in history, there is a science part, there is an art part, there is an engineering part, there is a technology part. Why is there to bifurcate that? Instead of that, why can't we give them 3 combinations? My college has these 10 departments. Let the student choose any 3 of these. Why you restrict PCM or K, something like HEG, something like HEP, right? Why not? Any 3 of them, right? If your college doesn't have a department like economics, like history, let your student, any student joins your college, you will not be given optional course called history because history department doesn't exist. But in Yuvraj's college, when I started my education, when I got admitted to Yuvraj's college had a powerful English department, but still I was blocked not to take it up, right? I don't want that to be the difficulties for my next generation. So that's what I call it, as a choice-based system. Students can choose their choice, choose their courses of interest. So in that sense, I call it as a student-centric education, right? And students can exercise options. And continuity in learning. This is what I mentioned. This is what I have been talking about. If you maintain continuity in learning, I'm sure that the students become a better performer by the end of a semester. So one can see that the continuity can be maintained. Hands-on experience, that's what I said, integrating theory with practice all along. It's not that you have to teach only theory and forget that. The students are supposed to immediately take a practical classes related to the theory content that you have delivered. This is another interesting. This would help us in integrating the precision ability of a student with ability. Most of the times, recollect the way in which you evaluate the answer scripts of students. You just go through the answer scripts and you are in a position to find out where exactly the student is given right answer. Actually, you're not evaluating the answer script. You are trying to find the good answers somewhere or the other way, right? In somewhere or the other way, in the answer script, in one or the other page, so that you can end up giving them a mark. We are going search of good answers written by the student, neglecting the bad answers written. If answer is bad, we just simply strike it out and then go for the next. If there is something good, we just mark it. Why don't we penalize the students for writing such a bad answer? Right? I mean, if somebody writes one page, only in the last 2 lines are really good, then we give 2 marks for that. But for the entire page, 80 lines, 8 lines are not good. Why can't we penalize? That is what is called precision. Precision means how accurate he is in writing, how much he has written, out of which how much is really correct, right? Suppose, imagine that there are 2 students, X and Y, and there is a question for 10 marks. That question says that list out 10 points on some topic. The topic could be T. So then what is that? So list out 10 advantages of topic T. 10 applications of topic T, something like that. So the students are expected to just put in bullets, 10 points. And one student, let's say X in my example, list out 7 points and all 7 are correct. So I had taught them 10 examples, 10 points in the classroom, right? That's available in the textbook also. I expect the students to list out those 10. Then one student has listed out 7 out of 10, and I just give him the 7 out of 10 marks, right? That's fine. When I evaluate the answer script of another students, let's call him as Y has listed out 12 points. Out of 12, 7 are really good, 7 are correct. And remaining 5 are not the points concerned to the topic T, but they are the points concerned to the topic T dash, some other topic. Then don't you think that the student has got some confusion? Of course, he has written 7, but for the remaining 5, he has got some confusion. I mean, that he is not that, he is not that a good learner. He doesn't have a clarity between the topic T and a topic T dash. Whereas, look at the first person X. He has got a clear vision on the topic T, but he remembers only 7. He doesn't remember the remaining 3, but he is so accurate that the rest of the points are not related to this T, right? Suppose if I ask one, after termination of my lecture, if any of your good friend asks you a question, whose lecture you had this morning? Then if you, instead of telling that it is Dr. Guru from University of Mysore, if you say that it is Modiji's lecture today morning we had, then it indicates that you are not aware of 2 persons. If you say, I don't know, that's fine, because you are not aware of Dr. Guru's. You had seen him, you heard his lecture, right? You had seen his image coming on your monitor, but you are not familiar with Dr. Guru. That's why you are not in a position to, we heard of somebody, but I don't know who is that. But if you say that it is Prime Minister Modi ji, then it indicates that you are also not aware of who is our Prime Minister Modi ji, right? Then it indicates that you are with two mistakes. So I don't know is better answer than writing something. Most of the times we say, dear friend, that something is better than nothing. But please remember that nothing is better than nonsense. Keeping quiet is better than writing something unwanted. So why can't we take into account even that? Out of 12, 7 are correct, 5 are not correct. The student got confused. Again, unfortunately, in the current evaluation scheme, we give 7 also. We give 7 for Y also. Then X is rated on par with Y, but X appears to be a better student than Y. That is what is called integration of precision with recallability of a learner. That you can take care because you have got that freedom to evaluate your own students without subjecting your question paper for board of examiners, without even reporting your evaluation script to the board of examiners, right? So nobody is there to monitor you are responsible for accountability. That's more important, right? So I am not here to question you, and I don't expect you to question ethics of a teacher. We're all basically teachers. Being a teacher, once I reported as a teacher, I'm supposed to be ethical in my profession. Don't question about the ethics of a teacher, right? So open system of education. What is this open system of education? Just recollect today's scenario. A student attends through an examination, and his answer paper will be evaluated by a concerned teacher, and teacher has ranked him, has graded him with 60 marks out of 100. 60 marks out of 100. But student is unhappy. What does the student do? The student will approach the concerned university or the registrar of the university, evaluation director of the university, by paying additional fee, that I go for retotaling of my answer script. Even after retotaling, the teacher has not committed any mistake while calculating, while totaling the marks awarded. But the teacher must have gone wrong while turning out the pages, while turn off the pages. While turning over the pages, he must have turned over 2 pages unknowingly and evaluated from the 3rd page. But unfortunately, the students must have written a very wonderful answer, a very good answer, only in those 2 pages which you really missed while evaluating. You are also a human being. We, the teachers, are also human being. We are supposed to, we are bound to commit mistakes sometimes unknowingly. So while turning over the pages, 2 pages would go together. Unfortunately, good answer is missed. It's not being evaluated. Then students expected 70, but I awarded only 60. Even while retotaling, because I never evaluated it, all marks individually are summed up, then turns out to be 60 only. Again, registrar evaluation announces that, oh sorry, even after retotaling, your score turns out to be still 60 only. Again, he's still unhappy. What does he do? Then he goes for reevaluation, revaluation, right? So when he applies for revaluation, then another teacher will come, he will go for evaluating. Then those pages, in case are evaluated, fine. Otherwise, if teachers goes with that, something like 64, still unhappy, then what does the student do? The student will go for xeroxing, pay the fees of 5,000 to 6,000, very huge amount, 6,000, and then take a copy of that and then show it to your teacher, concerned teacher, or in neighboring college teacher, get it evaluated, and then you can challenge your evaluation. Why all this is required? Ultimately, you are allowing students to look at the copy of it, Then soon after evaluation, why can't you think of calling the students and distributing their answer script back to them? That is what is called open system of education. I want the learner to come back after result announcement or after evaluation, before finalizing the results, collect their answer script, and then look at their answer script, get them evaluated again by another teacher of their interest, whoever he believes or she believes, get it reevaluated. And then if there is a kind of matching between what is awarded and what he expected, then he can retain it. Otherwise, he can report back to us, right? Of course, implementing this really requires small intake, where student and teacher ratio should not exceed 20, right? 20. Teacher and student ratio should not exceed 20. You are responsible for 20 students a semester, or maximum 40 students you can handle, right? So that's what ultimate target is, to move on to such as environment But today, what we have taken up a step towards the CBCS is only one step out of 100 possible steps. Still, we have to move forward 99 steps to bring in the complete full-fledged CBCS pattern of education into our university sector. So this is ultimately we have got to reach open system of education, which we are doing in our department. That, I conduct my examination, semester end examination. Of course, before semester end examination, I mean on the last day of semester, my students have been evaluated for 60 marks. And last semester end examination is only for 40 marks. Then I call the students at 10 o'clock on the day of examination. I give them some question paper, right? No board of examiners. I set the question paper on the same day, just 10 minutes before, and then give the question paper to the students. Students will attend through. In case if it is a practically oriented course, then again I ask them 10 to 12 is a theory examination. 12 to 2 is one batch, 2 to 4 is another batch. They are supposed to come to the laboratory and demonstrating their work. And there also I evaluate. And finally, by evening, answer scripts will be evaluated. Practical classes, examination is also over. And then all answer script will be given back to them by taking their consent that I collected my answer script back, take their signature, and then hand over the answer script and let them look at it and take their own time, about 7 to 10 days. I give them generally 10 days time to come back. If there is any discrepancy in evaluation, they can report to me. Then I correct myself, or I convince them this is not that, right, and so on. After 10 days, if anybody reports or nobody reports, then I just finalize the grading. This is how I do in my department, like open system of education, right? Students know, and they can mutually look at their answer script. X answer script can be seen by Y, and Y answer script can be seen by X, and so on. Ultimate job is to see that the fear of examination in the minds of students is reduced. Students should never think so serious about the semester end examination, because they have been watched, they have been monitored. So they should have that high degree of confidence that, look, I have already been evaluated by my teacher for 60 marks. Then what is hell of fearing of, the final semester examination, which is only for 40 marks, right? This is what a reduced fear of examination. And more so important, I'm sure that this kind of education paradigm will improve the relationship called Guru Shishya. Guru means teacher, not me. Guru Shishya. Shishya's relationship, right? I mean, probably if I ask you a question, or if just allow you to think for a while that, who is your favorite teacher? Who is your favorite teacher? Whom do you really love to recollect as your teacher? I'm sure that most of you, 99% of you, will recollect your school teacher. Primary education school teacher, higher education, high school teacher, right? And less likely that you recollect your graduation teacher. And probably, if not a school teacher, some of you may be recollecting your PhD supervisors, because in PhD supervision, we work in a close proximity with a guide. That close proximity really makes me learn, right? That's what is called Guru Shishya relationship. Even in school education, we were so close to our teacher, We used to play with our teacher. We used to learn along with our teacher. That's what is the proximity with which we have been educated in school and at higher learning of doctorate. But in between, we maintain certain distance with the teachers, especially in undergraduate level, BE or BTech or BSc or BA. We were so away from our teacher. The proximity was so less. So I'm sure that you all recollect your either school teacher or your PhD supervisors. So that's what is a relationship between Guru Shishya. If you want to have such a bondage, proximity between these two entities, Guru and Shishya, at all levels of education, it is that you can bring in something, an environment where teacher is more responsible in monitoring the continuity in learning of a learner. That's more important. So I'm sure that the CBCS continuous assessment based choice based credit system would bring in future. So now my question is this a new practice? What I have been explaining, do you think that it's a new practice? Then I say no, not at all. The reason is we had a Gurukula system. In Gurukula system, that the students used to go to the Gurukula, I mean the residence of Guru, and learn along with Guru, and they were with a close proximity like Pandavas. were close to Dronacharya. Even Kauravas were so close to Dronacharya. That's number one. Number two, Bhima was not forced by Dronacharya to pick up good skill in, what you call it as bow and arrow. I mean, on the other hand, the Partha, the Arjuna was not forced to pick up good skill on, that Gada Vidya, right? That's what was the choice. Arjuna chosen one, Dharmaraya chosen another one, he has specialized in that. Whereas Bhima specialized in Gada Vidya, Arjuna specialized in Bil Vidya, and so on. Try to understand that there were many choice, but everyone used to practice everything fundamentally, not into deep. But everyone has to have some knowledge on all possible types of, what call it as different wings of that education, and pick up some fundamentals, but not necessarily into deep. After picking up fundamentals, then you become specialized in certain, right? That is what was called choice in education. So in Gurukula system, the student used to have really a great choice indeed, right? And then it is being practiced in Western universities, like in United Kingdom, in United States of America, Canada. There are many, other outside India, there are many universities which got this adopted, and more so ever being well adopted in our IITs, Indian Institute of Technologies. Today, the top ranked institutions in India are these IITs. I'm sure that soon after 10 plus 2 education, you really love to keep your child in one of these IITs. In case if your child wants to pursue engineering education, I'm sure that you try to get him admitted in IITs only, because the environment of learning matters, right? There were many choices, more choice, and student can exercise the high degree of freedom in learning. That's what is IITs, right? IISc Bangalore, rank 1 institution today as far as NIRF ranking, IISc, reputed institutions in India include IIMs, the School of Laws, etc. So they have already adopted this for the long years, right? Before even UGC insisted upon. So it has been practiced. So I want why my son should think of IIT Chennai, IIT Delhi, just to learn computer science, because computer science is there in University of Mysore itself. Why can't we bring in a similar culture in my university campus? Then obviously we have to get adopted to the new change, get along with the change in learning paradigm. That's all. So then what is all this about credit? It's very simple if I put it, it is an expected effort to be put in by a student. To digest a particular course, one has to put in so many hours of learning, every week. To become successful in a particular course, the student is expected to put in some amount of effort by attending my lectures, by attending my laboratory classes, by attending my tutorial per week. And based on the amount, I mean, there is one course, let's say course C, there is another course, let's say D. To learn and digest this course on, theory of Newton's, one has to listen to my lecture 2 hours a week. And in addition to that, he has to take up a practical class 2 hours a week. In addition to that, he has to take up some homework assignment in my presence 2 hours a week. I mean, for clearing the subject called C, the student has to attend 2 hours of theory, 2 hours of laboratory, and 2 hours of tutorial. On the other hand, there is a course called D. In order to pass through this course called D, one has to attend only 1 hour of my lecture a week and 2 hours of practical a week. Obviously, the amount of effort put in by a student to become successful in X will be more than the amount of effort required to be put in by a student to be successful in the course called D. Then I say that the course has got D, some credit, which is less than that of what the course X. That is what is called credit. I mean, look at by the end of a month, salary will be credited into my account. By the end of a month, in every month, some amount will be credited into my account, bank account. Some amount is credited into my office superintendent. Some amount is credited to assistant professor. Obviously, the value being credited to my account is slightly higher than that of the amount credited into the account of assistant professor. That indicates what? That indicates that there is greater expectation by a professor and less expectation by an associate professor or assistant professor as far as productivity is concerned. I mean, based on the effort put in by, based on our expectations, we can decide that the student has to put in so much of effort for this, and so much of effort for this, so much of effort for this, and based on that, this course has got 4 credits. This has been quantified into 2 credits. This has been quantified into, right? Then one of the universities outside India, there is a professor who is looking for a student who has undergone through a quantum physics as a course. For admitting him for PhD in quantum physics, he is looking for a student. Instead of telling that the student has passed a course called quantum physics for 100 marks, out of which he has got 90, he doesn't look at that. He just asks him to submit the syllabus, what you have studied. 100 marks, fine. You haven't been evaluated for 100 marks. But what was the syllabus you studied? Right? Then he looks at the syllabus. If that syllabus is good enough, then only consider the students. If the syllabus is less, but still 100 marks evaluation, the students will not be taken, will not be considered. Based on the syllabus, you can work out the effort. And based on the effort, you can quantify it in terms of some credit. Then that professor simply look at how many credit course you had on quantum physics. Somebody says 4, somebody says 6. Oh, 6 means you must have done good amount of work on quantum physics. He will be preferred, right? This is what is the normalization, standardization at global level, right? Okay, so at international level. So every course will come with a credit value. Look at here as an example, lecture class, lecture hour, 1 hour a week amounts to 1 credit for a period of 16 weeks a semester, and tutorial, a minimum of 2 hour session a week amounts to 1 credit for a period of 1 semester, and similarly practical session, each session is of minimum 2 hours duration, every week 2 hours, 16 weeks, right? And that amounts to 1. I mean, if I design a course which involves 1 lecture class, 1 hour a week, and 2 hours for a student, right? Look at 2 hours. Credit is for a student, not for a teacher. Workload is for a teacher, not for a student. Don't get confused with, between credit and a workload. Workload for a teacher is different. Workload for a teacher is 1 hour of theory, 2 hour of tutorial, 2 hour of practical a week. I mean, totally 5 hours. But for a student, 1 directly from theory hall and 2 hour session of 1 session a week tutorial gives him 1 credit, and 2 hour session 1 gives him 1 credit. Totally, the student will get only 3 credits by successfully passing through this. But for teacher, if there is only 1 batch of students, only 1 batch of students, batch of 8 to 10 students, only if the number of students is 10 in that class, then for the teacher is only work hour is 5 hours, but for a student it is 3 credit. Look at, so credit is different. Please don't get confused. So every course, as I told you already, every course will have this pattern of what is called LTP, standard pattern called LTP. L refers to lecture hour, T refers to tutorial hour, P refers to practical hours. Suppose a lecture component is 2 hours a week, and tutorial component is 2 hours a week, and practical is 2 hours a week, right? 1 credit. Because there is a lecture component 2 hours, that gives 2 credits, and 1 session of 2 hours, a tutorial gives 1 credit. I mean, if a student undergoes through a course where he attends 2 hours lecture and 2 hours practical and 2 hours tutorial a week, then in case if he becomes successful in that, if he clears in the examination, then he will get 4 credits. Then what the students have to do? They have to choose their courses of interest. Any semester, any subject. Nothing like in the first semester only these one, second semester these are restricted, nothing. The students are allowed to choose any course in any semester based on availability of a teacher, right? Then, but after 3 years, in case of a bachelor, he has to enroll for so many courses, out of which so many courses are mandatory, called fundamental courses, to call him as physicist. To consider him as a physics student, there is some fundamental things that he has to pick up from the physics. To consider him as mathematics student, there is some fundamental things which he has got to pick up from mathematics. So accept that, and rest of them are all choice, right? So then he can end up go on, he can go on choosing courses of his interest, and then once he clears it up, he will go on accumulating credits, and once he accumulated certain number of credits, then he becomes qualified, to get his bachelor's degree, to get his master's degree, and so on and so forth. So the course could be of this pattern. ability enhancement, core courses, that's fundamental courses, discipline specific core courses. I mean, physics students has to choose course from physics only as an elective, but different wings of physics. There are certain courses called related to environmental sciences, certain courses related to skill enhancement course, certain courses are discipline specific electives, language core courses. I mean, like that, I join physics, mathematics, along with I take language core course. Why not? Generic elective, kind of open elective. So I like, Bharatanatyam, but I have enrolled for physics and mathematics. Just because I enrolled for physics and mathematics, I got to forget my Bharatanatyam. Why can't I think of taking up, if there is a fine arts college attached with my institution, I can go and enroll for 2 credits in Bharatanatyam, right? That could be credited into my graduation, my post graduation, and so on. And there could be some project work which can be mandatory or maybe optional. This is all decided by the board of studies of your consent discipline, right? And then there could be some value added courses like communication skill, right? The students wonderfully do well in MCA. Unfortunate. Let me share with you my opinion. I have got wonderful smart guys for MCA. They are good in computer programming, but unfortunately, they are not in a position to open up their mouth and talk to others, present their work. They are very bad in their communication. Even they hesitate talking with others, but they are hardworking, they are intellectual, very smart guys, extremely good in computer science, but unfortunately, they are not in a position to project themselves to the other worlds. Then why can't I think of introducing some value added courses for them so that they can enroll and pick up good communication skill? And that is not mandatory. That's not required for every student, right? Those students who have come from urban background, who have picked up good English during their school education, they need not enroll for this communication skill, right? But the people who have come from a different background can think of these value added courses, right? So this is how I have to create such an ambience of good ambience of learning for students to exercise their degree of freedom in learning. Right? So requirements could be standard requirement today as per UGC guideline, 76 credits by putting all types of courses in PG, 2 years master degree, and 136 or 140 roughly for UG program like BA, BSc, BCom, and so on. And right, student can, though required to take up 76 is the minimum, but student can enroll up to 90, and they can select to choose. And if they are not happy with the grade being given by the concerned teacher in a particular course, which is an elective, they can drop the course. We don't call him as fail. We just call him as dropped student. So it can go with a maximum of 90, go with a maximum of 150, and they will have some choice to drop the courses of less grade also, so that they can retain high degree of percentage in their marks cards, right? So these are evaluation. As I told you already, teacher is whole and soul. But unfortunately, even today in University of Mysore, if I quote as an example, we still have BOE in most of the departments at PG level, and especially in UG, we still have BOE, Board of Examiners, where the question paper has to be set up priori and get scrutinized by the board members, and then conduct an examination, because the weightage given to the examination is more like 70, and only 30% is given for continuous assessment. But it should be ulta and the other way around. So we have to reach up to that level. Probably that takes another 10 years down the line, right? So teacher is responsible, and based on continuous assessments, the structure, the modality of evaluation may vary from teacher to teacher, but it should be known to the students well in advance. We have to tell the student, this I evaluate you, right? When I start my first lecture in my semester, I tell my students, give them a document. I just give them a document. Look, dear friends, you will be evaluated for 60 during semester and 40 after semester. During 60, during semester, I evaluate you 3 times, 20, 20, 20. For the first 20, I give 2 sets of assignments and conduct 1 test. I take the average. For the second one, I give 1 set of assignment on theory, 1 set of assignments on practical classes, and I conduct 1 test for theory, 1 test for practical. I take the average of all for 20. Next, third 20 will be evaluated based on quiz, based on viva, right? And so on. I just define everything well in advance, and when I approach the students in the first class, I just put it on the notice board. I just give them a copy of the document. You just carry it till the end of examination, till the end of semester, right? And I stick on to this. Be ready for this. And then start delivering lectures, conducting classes, and so on and so forth. This is how I have to do. Especially, I am responsible for it. I should be accountable for it, right? So broader structure could be 50% first component, 50% second component. I mean 25 could be the weightage of instead of 60-40, instead of 30-70, why can't you give 50-50, right? Semester end examination 50, the semester period is 50 and so on. Continuous assessment is 50, end examination is 50. But I expect that continuous assessment should be given more weightage, bigger than even 50%, right? Okay. So assignment could involve some creative exploration, designing, conducting practical classes, and problem solving in case of science courses, you know, solving on desk, and you monitoring tutorials. These you decide because you are the experts on that, right? You teach your student. Look at, you are the ultimate judge to decide upon the quality of education being inculcated into every student, because you are the teacher, right? Mother is the best judge to decide the goodness of a child, right? Right? Mother is the best judge to decide whether the daughter is good or son is good, not the neighboring person. Why do you call somebody external examiner to question your student? Why do you call somebody external examiner to, you know, grade your student? Because you are the better guy, right? To grade your own student. You know him from the beginning. You grade, right? That's what is the spirit of this CBCS learning, right? So anyway, every course has got a credit, and if there are two students, one has got 50 out of 100, one has got 90 out of 100, then they are placed with two different grades, right? For 90, let's say 9, for 50, let's say 5. Then this student has got grade 5 in my course. The first student has got grade 9 in my course, but both of them are successful in my course. Both of them get the same credit, but the grades are different. And I multiply that credit value and a grade, that is called GP. I mean, in my course, suppose 4 credit course, this man has got 9, so 4 into 9, 36. And this guy has got 5 into 4, 20. So he is with a GP of 20, he is with a GP of 36. That's how they are different. They are different performing students, differently performing students. But both of them have got the same number of grades, but the grades are different, GPs are different. And now if you sum up all the GPs that the student, a particular student has got in a particular semester, because of 6 courses, because of 5 courses, he got 5 GP, and sum them up, divided by total number of credits in that semester, that's called semester grade point average. And if you do so for all entire 76 in case of master, entire 140 credits in case of undergraduate, because of all semesters, then I call it a CGPA, and the CGPA will turn out to be one real number, right? One real number, and based on that value of that CGPA, you can classify them to be first class, distinction, second class, and so on and so forth. So every CBCS part, educational paradigm should have some grievance at department level, at college level, at university level. Generally, at university level, vice chancellor is the director of the institution is the chairman of the grievance. At college level, principal is that. At department level, HOD is the chairman of that. Then you can have some members, committee of members, right? And preferably have one lady member to take care of any complaint, filed by a lady, girl student, and so on. So you have got to think of grievance cell, which is also very important. So with this, I think I have given you a broad overview, general philosophical overview of what is this all about: credit-based or choice-based credit system pattern of education. The things are changing. Change is the permanent. Change is the only called permanent thing. Not me, not anybody, not any object, because things will go change. Change is the permanent. Change without improvement. Change is happening, but there is no progress. I change myself, but there is no progress in me. That's of no use. And there is an improvement in me. I got my PhD, but my personality has not changed at all. That's also no use, right? So if there is an improvement, there must be a change. If there is a change, there must be an improvement. That's what my message for you people. Change without improvements, improvements without change, both have no meaning, right? Change should be there if there is an improvement, right? And if improvement should be there if there is a change. So this or that alone doesn't carry any sense. With this message to you all, let me thank you one and all. Thanks a lot. Let's have a break and meet with the for the next session. And before that, if you have any question, I would love to answer.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
I am Sangeeta Patel. So we
Okay.
are from RCU. We are affiliated to RCU, sir.
RCU means?
Rani Channamma University, Belgaum.
Okay.
Okay. So in for basic English, usually I'm a assistant professor of English. They have prescribed a syllabus. They have formed the syllabus and they have given us a copy of that. They have mentioned that teaching hours is 4 and credits 2. And end of the semester exam, it is 80 marks and IA for 20.
I mean, IM means is a continuous assessment. Shall not be called as internal assessment henceforth. It should be called as CA, not IA.
Okay, CA.
CA. Okay. It should be called as CA. CA is for 20 and semester end examination is given 80% weightage.
Okay, so here what is 2? They have given 2 for credits.
2 credits means probably they mentioned 4 hours of teaching, right, per a week?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 4 hours. Yeah, 4 hours per week. Sir.
So they must have considered that 4 hours as tutorial hours.
Yes, sir. Teaching hours. Tutorial.
Yeah, but then generally they must have defined the credit like, 1 credit amounts to 2 hours of teaching in language.
The work has been completed already. Every documentation work.
Please,
You just
mute your
yes, please. I wish all rest of the participants to keep their mic muted, please. You go one by one.
Yes, sir. Here credit 2 means we have another 2 teaching hours.
No. In your guideline that's being circulated by the university, please carefully read through. They must have defined that the credit in language, 1 credit in language is by 2 hours of classroom hours. I don't know. If you want clarification, you share with me the guideline and let me go through it and then get you that clarified. If they have mentioned that teaching hours is 4, but the credit allotted to the course is 2, then they must have defined, especially for languages, that 2 hours classroom amounts to 1 credit. That's equivalent to a tutorial session of 2 hours in science,
Yeah. Okay, sir. Thank you.
Anybody else? So I wish you make a note of my email ID, because last time a couple of you have asked about that. Is it visible? You can drop your mail so that I can attend your mail and answer your queries or.
No, sir, not visible.
So I'm available on this mail ID. Okay, if no questions, shall we take a break now? Sir,
okay, please, sir. Have a break now. All the participants are requested to join the link again at 11:40. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Please, sir.
Thanks.